Hi, everyone. Welcome to We Didn't Turn Out Okay. Today I have two special guests on, Chanie and Musya. They're the founders of Hart Hero, a brand designed to bridge the gender play gap and to help kids discover their inner power. And I have so much to say on this topic. But first, can you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into all the things that we want to talk about.
Sure. I'm Musya, co-founder of Hart Hero. I'm a mom of two. My son is 6 and my daughter is 3.
I'm Chanie, co-founder, and I'm a mom of 6, ranging from 3 months old to 14.
Wait, you're a mom of how many?
6.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I hear that right, or did she say 1 is 6?
No.
Wait, we need to know all of the ages.
Okay, she's 14, almost 15, 12, 9, 6, 3, and 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
And every single one of them is their own unique. I just had baby number 6, and I just realized I know nothing about parenting at this point because every single one of them is so different, and I need to relearn everything.
Yes. I mean, even with 2, it was a surprise to me. And what's the gap between your youngest and second to youngest?
My second youngest is nearly 4. And
that's why, like, you have an infant, and the last time you went through this was...
Yeah, no, but other than that, like, every single personality, they're all so...
Totally. Which is a lot of what we'll talk about today, right? That, like, each kid is so different that there's so much within them that we want to bring out.
Yes.
And the ways we do that are so different for each child. I really... Since, I introduced Hart Hero and I said it's to bridge the gender play gap, I think we can talk a little bit about what that means. I think for me, I was actually on my way here and I was going to take my car and I was like, I have to return that thing to Amazon. And I realized what it was. It was a double order. I was like, maybe I'll give it to them. And then I was like, no, I can't. But it's basically a princess spa, for like 2 to 6 years old. There's only one real way to play with it, unless you wanted to like make potions or something. But I was just thinking about how gender biased that product is. We got it as a gift, and then I thought my girls were fighting over it, so I got another one. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But I was thinking about how much is out there that is very much just for one gender.
Yeah.
And how sort of confusing that can be for a child who's like figuring out not necessarily even what gender they are, which we'd argue like that could be any child, but also like who they are. And so it brings up, when I think about gender, the concept of duality, which if you don't know that, it's that if you don't know what that stands for, it's that, 2 things can be true within any human being, no matter what gender you are. I say I'm so strong, and then I realize that I'm also such a mush. I think I'm physically strong, but emotionally, I wouldn't say I'm not strong. I'm just super sensitive. And I think you can be strong and sensitive.
Yes.
And that's like one thing that rings true to me personally. And then I could rattle off a million relating to like every type of person there is out there. I'd love to hear from you guys and how you feel about it. Musya, can you tell me your thoughts on, how you can be more than just one thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting for me because I have both a son and a daughter. And there's usually like toys, let's say, that you can bring in that you would say, these are for boys to play with. These are for girls to play with. And because I have both types of toys in my house, it creates a space for both of them to be able to engage in all types of play. And my daughter is, oh my God, she looks like a little doll. Like she loves all things princess and dress up and pink, but she also loves cars and trucks and loves to run around. And I see like she gets this path to have access to both.
Yeah.
And the same thing is with my son. Like he will push a doll stroller, he'll help my daughter apply her makeup, but at the same token, he's also like filthy in a soccer field, kicking a ball, fighting with somebody. And it's incredible to just be able to see those 2 parts. And sometimes I wonder, like, what if I had 2 boys? Right. What if I had 2 girls? Would I have that awareness? And that's something I started thinking about a lot, because even when it comes to gifts that we give kids at birthday parties, like,
totally.
It's a girl, Sophie. Okay, let me get Sophie a princess thing. And let me just say, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing. Like, let girls love pink and princesses and dolls, and that's fine. But it's a matter of creating a space to have both, like have those dolls, but also if you want to play with a truck, that's great too. That's not just for your brother.
Right.
Can I jump in and add something to that? Like I was at my daughter's 3. She was at a friend's birthday party recently, and like there was the gift table, like where his birthday gifts was stacked really high with monster trucks and cars and vehicles, and like every single thing over there was a car like toy. My daughter, by the way, she absolutely loves cars. She's obsessed with Paw Patrol. She's the it kid in her class because Paw Patrol and cars are the currency over there. So she I can't keep up over there. But anyways, this kid over there, every single thing was cars. And he came over for a play date, and he was running around the whole time with a Herotron. Like him and my daughter, my 3-year-old, they were like running around with these doll strollers, and he was like running it and crashing it into walls and everything. Classic boy behavior, as you want to call it. And then he was also like caring for the doll, and he's having his first baby, his baby sibling. His mom's having a baby in like a month or so, but like he doesn't have access to that. And is it like nurture? Is it nature, or is it the fact that that's what he's given?
Right.
So like duality is not like, okay, so we need to take away all the cars and trucks and start giving him all the toys that cultivate those soft skills, like giving him dolls and doll houses and all that stuff. Duality is like every human being is so complex and whole, and there's so many aspects, and like to feed into every single part, feed the social emotional aspect, feed the spatial awareness aspect,
Right.
like through play, which is how kids learn at that age.
Yeah. And what a gift, Musya, for you to have both genders in your home, to be able to see that, like,
Yeah.
and to sort of be able to bridge that, sort of stereotype just inherently, like just by giving access to both. And, because of what you were saying as an example, that it seemed like this child, if using his birthday gift table as any indication, probably doesn't have access to softer toys as readily as like maybe your son does.
Right.
And thinking about that with my 2 girls, like I actually hadn't thought too much about that early on. And then my friend who just moved out of town is like, did I sign up for all the girl thing or the things for my daughter that I should? And she named a few things. And I was like, my daughters also love this second ballet thing or dance workshop if she's really into dance. She's like, no, she loves, she's a boy. Like she loves throwing the ball around or something like that. And in my head, I was like, I did maybe envision like my girls would maybe be a little more athletic, but this other mom, she has a son, and so her daughter's like always around that.
Right.
And like that's sort of like held high within their home. Like he comes home and like wins competitions, things like that. So anyway, I just wanted to highlight that there's something there about having sort of both genders in your home to already like bridge that.
Yeah, definitely.
But here's like a thought, like I think just let kids be kids without, like, let kids get access to all areas of play. I think without genderifying toys
Right.
would be, like, if we just remove that without without genderifying sports, or like by sports I'm talking about
Right.
like dance, the whole, like let kids
Yeah, we
play
like
and like
it.
without stressing about.
But it's interesting, right? Because if you're a girl who likes sports, like I loved sports growing up. I wanted to play basketball and soccer with my brothers. I wanted to build tree houses, and it was like sort of like, maybe stay in your lane a little bit. You're a tomboy. And then if you're a boy who likes like, I like dolls and strollers, a lot of times you're called a sissy. And it's like, why those names, like when it comes to just kids play and kids being and kids exploring?
Totally.
Like, why do I have to be a tomboy? Why can't I just be a girl who likes sports? And why can a boy, and why is it a negative thing? Like, oh, you're a girl, you like dolls. Like, why can't they just play with dolls and tap into their nurturing side, and an hour later go with their race truck and crash it into a wall?
Also, side point is like being a tomboy is not feared the way being a sissy for girls
know,
is like,
I was
it's
just
almost
saying
like,
being a tomboy's like, okay, it's cool.
yeah. When I noticed my son pushing my daughter's hot pink tall stroller, that's when we started noticing the gender play gap. My son, he was 2, he would like push my daughter's hot pink tall stroller to school every day, and he loved it. And all the boys gravitated towards him. And it struck me that it was actually a classic toy for all genders, not just girls, but none of the boys in his class had it. So I started, and they were all like, a lot of them were becoming big brothers, started researching why. So I started having conversations with people like in the Starbucks line, anybody that I saw that had like a little boy with them, some very, very manly looking men in the sense like, I know, or like ex-vets that I knew, like military vets that ran a boxing rink. I'm like, why wouldn't you let your son play with a doll stroller? And it was because they didn't want their son to be soft. And by the way, this guy over here, the security guard, was the softest, nicest guy. Like, he was the most gentle bear. But like, people had this fear of boys being soft, that it was something to quash and fear and effeminate. But on the flip side, like, girls playing with STEM-related stuff is kind of, you know,
it's like honored or celebrated or cool or
Chanie also low-key made the entire world her focus group, and it's and it was amazing, like having these conversations with so many different people from so many different walks of life to really like get a perspective on how people view it.
Yeah, I want to get into that. So we've been talking about like the importance of this without talking about what you guys do and what Hart and Hero really is, you know, besides my introduction. But I wanted to also, you know, point out with what you said with this ex-vet or, you know, all the people you spoke to when they were like, I don't want my son to be soft. I wonder if there's something there, of course, that like maybe people just generally think like softness isn't a good attribute or a good way to be because you have to deal with like the toughness of life. Mm-hmm. But I think there's something else there when it comes to men, that if they're soft, they can't be like protective of others the way that they need to be. Like, you know, if you're saying he was soft and he still wants his son not to be soft, there must be something there that feels like he's more likely to set his son up for success if he makes sure he's not soft. And so there's also something there, like I was talking about before, that like you could be strong and also sensitive, which clearly if he's a security guard, he is. But yeah, just let's dive into what Hart and Hero really is. And if you can elaborate a little bit, you said that you would run around with your brothers, but I don't think people know how many you had.
Okay.
So yeah, we could talk about your own childhood, but also like what led you guys to Hart and Hero.
Sure. So I am one of 11. And I've got 8 brothers and 2 sisters, so pretty uneven ratio there. And it was very interesting to see because when it came to like the toys that like my brothers were playing with, like I was always interested in like their cars and their trucks and playing sports with them. But when it came to them like having anything to do with my dolls, like it was such a foreign concept. The only thing that they would do with my dolls or Barbies was like give it a haircut, like do something. Like it wasn't even a concept for them to be able to like, oh, let me play with this doll.
Right.
Let me
care for it.
It did not exist to them at all. Like it was just not, it was not there. But so many of my brothers grew up to be fathers and they never really got.
It's crazy,
to, like,
right?
It's
like if you think about it, like why we feel like sometimes like mom is default parent. Is it like because we're programming these kids from the start not to care for baby dolls?
Exactly what's happening is like from age like that kids start developing their ideas of identity of not so much identity, identity too, but kids start developing their ideas of society and social their place in society at 2 to 5 years old, and they learn through play. So what message are we giving our boys that you like and girls that when we're giving girls exclusively nurturing toys and boys we're locking out, and then we're wondering why 25 years down the line one of them is the default parent and completely drained and worn out, and we're also giving women the message, girls the message that you could be anything.
I know.
You could be an astronaut, you could be a rocket scientist, you could do anything. Like I made sure to give my daughter, my oldest, I made sure to give her toys from the boys aisle. I made sure to give her STEM toys. I wanted to know she could do anything that she wanted. But then like when that's what really hit me is when my son was 2, I realized that he only had access to that doll stroller because of his sister.
Totally.
I didn't have that value.
Right, you weren't going to go to the store and be like, oh, hot pink doll stroller, that's perfect for him. Let me buy it. Like it doesn't. Right. Ultimately, pink is associated with girls. So when everything in the nurture space is in pink, it's not something that you're likely to go and purchase for your son.
Right. Totally. And so you felt like that, you remember that in your own upbringing, just feeling like, you know, the way that you guys played were very like gender stereotypical
completely
ways of playing.
Oh, yes.
And then fast forward to becoming a parent yourself, is it something that you knew you wanted to kind of bridge before becoming a parent, both of you, or you discovered it like in this example? Did you also discover it after having kids the way
Yeah, I think it was
Chanie
more
did?
in my subconscious. I always had conversations with Chanie over the years. She has a lot more kids than me, and she became a mom before me. So she had a lot more experience with her kids and seeing like the gender play gap. But a huge part of how we even started Hart and Hero in the first place is Chanie started gifting doll strollers to all the little boys like in her life, which one of them was my son at the time that I was pregnant with my daughter. Like the timing was just perfect. And I was curious, like my son is a very active, like you look at him, like he kind of looks like a boxer, like he's a big boy. And I'm like, what is he going to do with the stroller? I genuinely didn't know.
That you responded, you were super skeptical.
I honestly
ask
was
her,
skeptical.
Like, why did you gift this, or you knew her at that point?
I knew because we had conversations over the years, like why is it that like dolls and strollers is not something that's accessible for boys? And I used to even tell her, wow, that's genius. But I didn't see it through the lens of a parent. And I think that's what really shifted for me. And then once she sent this to my son, and okay, so first he like attached it sideways, backwards, upside down. Like I don't know what he was doing. And then he ended up taking it, he put his stuffy in it, and he walked it to the park. And the next day, I kid you not, 3 other boys showed up with their sisters' doll strollers. Clearly they're sisters because most of them were pink or purple or floral, with stuffies also. And it sort of became this like trend to bring your doll stroller to the park. Mm-hmm. And it really, I saw how it helps him prepare for his role as big brother. Like I have pictures of him pushing his toy stroller with a stuffy in it. And then I have pictures of him pushing an actual stroller with a sister in it. Mm-hmm. And it was almost something
amazing.
It was incredible. Like it was like such a natural progression.
Yeah. And I know we're like not letting you guys get to the fact that like you do now offer a gender neutral stroller and stuffy, and I hope people explore that and we can talk about that, but which is amazing. I own it. But I will say, you said it, you didn't think about it through the lens of a parent. There is this inevitable, you know, when I'm thinking about gifting that same gift to people, concern that like the parent is still like very much like biased or worried.
Yes. Oh my God.
And you knew Musya would be receptive, I'm sure.
No.
Okay. Or you were just like, I don't care.
No,
right?
saying with Musya, no, I knew she would. It was more in terms of like, I knew she would be receptive. I'm saying I knew she wouldn't be. It was more in terms of, I'd seen so many times, I'd seen that these little boys were, I'm going to use the word deprived because that's straight up what it is. Like, little boys were deprived of these toys that cultivate those social, emotional, and soft skills. And like, and it was not, I'd seen so many times that it wasn't just nature, it was what they were exposed to. Mm-hmm. So like, So
so
you
like,
were
like, you took a leap. You're like, even if
so
she who cares? I know that.
Like, no, like I knew Drew, I knew her son as well, and her son's like, he's not the softest, gentlest. He is a soft and gentle sweetheart, but he's also like quite a rambunctious little guy.
Right. And that's like, what we're saying, but he could be both.
Exactly what it is. But like, it wasn't like, oh, he's like, but yeah, so that's why I gifted it to like, it was more in terms of like, I think what we were trying to do together with Hart and Hero is like make people aware of the fact that like all kids deserve access to like a full, well-rounded play experience, and that nurture is not weakness and softness is not something to be feared. It's actually an essential life skill. That's a recipe for success in life and what matters.
Yeah, and like the hurdle is like getting parents to understand that, you know, exposing your child to toys like this is actually a really incredible thing, not something that's like, oh, is this a slippery slope? I mean, you could even argue that there's no slippery slope, whatever your child chooses to identify with, right? I really believe that, but I know there's parents out there that, you know, don't feel that way. But the point is that exposing them to all of these different ways of playing doesn't define who they become. It actually opens up more possibilities for who they could become in a way that they can feel proud and not like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel that way, you know?
Like remove the stigma around it.
Exactly.
It's interesting you say that also, like when it comes to like parents having hesitation, because I've had so many conversations with dads, and like these could be like my friends' husbands, like, and a conversation I've asked is like, a question that I've asked is when they're hesitant about their child playing with a doll stroller is, do you push a stroller? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Right.
So then break it down for me. Like, why is it like truly Why is it less manly
Right.
for your child to be like, look, I'm pushing a stroller just like dad?
Totally.
Like looking up to the dad in a nurturing role, and just like maybe they're not trying to aspire to be like mom. They're trying to aspire to be like dad.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's always like, wait a minute, like it's hard to like have an answer to that because it's like, of course I want my child to be like that.
Right.
But it's outdated ideas that
It
are
totally
so
is.
like deeply wedged in society.
And that we do like a disservice to kids, honestly. Like, we're their first role models, and you know, you could say like the most powerful ones.
Yeah.
And I share this with you guys offline that, you know, what my girls see is very much like stereotypical boy dad, you know, boy my husband, and girl me, to the point where some, you know, I ran into a situation with my daughter. I won't even say how, but her hair was cut off.
Oh no.
I think every one of us has been there.
Every single parent, like
Right. But I think it was a play for sure. She was playing with her sister. They were doing makeovers, things like that. But when I opened that door, I'm like almost getting emotional, like bringing myself back to it. I had a radical moment. I opened the door. You know, they like had locked themselves in there doing makeovers. They're like, don't peek until we're ready. And I opened the door and see my child with her hair, you know, cut off. And I was like, what did you do? And she was like, you're mad, and almost started crying. And I had this radical moment of, Jenny, why are you, what is this for you? Like literally in a split second, it was like, this is a moment. You have to take this moment. This moment is about her hair. And if you're angry about her hair, what message are you sending? This was in like split second.
Oh, that's amazing that you managed to recenter, because
I
my reaction
really-
was not
I
the
swear,
same.
thank God. I truly thank God for anyone listening to this. Like I knew was going to be like a core memory for her, the way she reacted to my reaction. It was like astonishment, like, you're mad? And so it was almost like her call out made me realize. And I was like, no, I'm just so surprised. I was like, your hair. And she then, we both calmed down in that moment, and she had done a pretty good job. But I was like, I was just surprised. Anyway, we had the most beautiful day. I took her to the salon, and they like, you know, made it a little bit even. And like literally I was like swallowing tears. She did not know. But the way she felt so empowered, and that she chose to do this, and it was who she, you know, basically that she was expressing what she wanted to look like, even if it was through play. She was proud. Basically, she was proud. Like, I look different now because I made this choice.
Right.
She's like, why have you never asked me how I want to cut my hair? I think it was less about I want to cut my hair, more about I did this, and now I get to like wear this as a badge of honor. And I'm so glad I didn't take that away from her. Long story short, so many realizations came out of that. One, I am obsessed with my hair and theirs. And I started to realize how much time I spent on my hair that they would see. And I'm saying like 12 minutes, like probably it takes me, but like every morning seeing that, you know, for a little kid, it's like, what is mommy doing? Right? Like with the beach waver or whatever it is. And then how much I like couldn't let them fall asleep without like every knot being out. And again, I'm talking like 2 minutes of brushing their hair. But anyway, just what it became to me, I feel like was wrapped into that. And so there's this whole point of like what we feel is like important becomes what they feel is important.
Yes.
And so when we don't allow, this was her way of like playing around with like hair and not taking on the importance of hair the way that I clearly have. And I had that moment to like not continue that. I know that's like super deep and personal, but I think that what you guys are doing through play is really giving many opportunities like that to kids. Like they shouldn't just take on our roles of gender.
And I'm going to jump into that over there as well. Like, firstly, I got to say, I'm mad impressed with the way you navigated
no, Jenny, blown
I still want to cry when I talk about it.
No, like actually blown away, because you could have also not had this whole experience, right? Like, it's natural for a parent, like we're people with emotions, which I tell my kids all the time, like mommy's a human, like this might shock you. And like you do freak out in the moment.
crying.
Like you just cut, no, it's very emotional. Like you just took your gorgeous hair and chopped it off and like no one saw this coming.
Yeah.
And
but
like you
more
would
that like, thank God, I'm like emotional thinking of all the moments that we miss.
right. But
Or,
because,
like, that
but
we
because,
botch,
no, but
you know?
because of that, because you had that awareness.
Yeah.
It like brought you so much closer to your daughter, and that's
Yes.
so
It was,
amazing.
like, the best day. Yeah.
That's it's such a like powerful message for parents. Like there's so many moments where you could get like frustrated or annoyed or angry, but it's like the why behind it. Like why
Yeah.
did she choose to cut her hair? Why did your child do that?
And why am I reacting this way?
Right.
I mean, Matt, even since then, like when we've seen pictures of before and stuff, like, or we'll come across it or something, like someone will ask, like, do you like your hair or something? Like he's randomly been like, I love your long hair or something. Not totally innocently.
Right.
He doesn't know that for a woman, I'm like horrified when he says it. Like the message that that's sending, that like what you look like now, I don't like as much,
Right.
is what we internalize. And that your hair is like this monumental thing, right? And I'm like, I think Daddy just, I like try to talk out of it or I'll like look at him, and he doesn't do it. But just, yeah, there's millions of micro messages that we send our kids.
Oh my God,
I'm going to
yes.
jump into that and go on a slight tangent over there with regards to these micro messages. I think what we're doing as parents, like we run several successful companies and businesses, but like, your parenting over
They
there.
still feel like they're startups. So thank you.
But what's it called in the parenting aspect of it, right? I don't know. I
Yeah.
find society, the nurture aspect of it. For myself, this has been like an ongoing journey over there. I've always been career-driven, academic, and always working. And then like leaning, and for me, it was leaning into the duality, like recognizing that, I know, like I remember having nights where like I had urgent deadlines, and I had like there was a time period where I had like urgent deadlines and I was like working, and it was kind of doable. Like it wasn't daunting. I did it, and then I got like, I did it and I did a good job in the job, and then I got, okay, great feedback. And then at the same time, I was like dealing with my toddler who needed ear tubes, but there was like a 9-month waiting list, so I was like up all night with ear infections, and it was hell. It was really, really hard. And then like I was up during the day with her as well, and I wasn't getting much work done, and I felt so unaccomplished. I felt like I wasn't doing anything, and I was holding her, and I was making her soup, and I was reading up on Lord knows what kind of potions, and I felt like I'd accomplished nothing.
Right.
And I got into like,
that's
I'm
such a-
exploring like, what is it? Like as a society, we don't value that.
Yes.
There's no value, which is kind of what we're trying to do. Like our collection is a doll stroller, a superhero inspired doll stroller with a cape, because we wanted like, for ourselves as parents, we wanted to bring back the fact that this matters. Like nurture.
Yeah. That in that moment
Yeah.
of like dire, what you're describing, so many of us moms and parents in general have experienced, like being in the trenches, having to put everything aside, even if you don't work, putting everything out, your friends, everything aside when you're in the trenches with your kid, when they have ear infection, whatever it is, and how that is wearing a cape. Like,
Yeah.
but that took us being in the trenches to realize that. And so being able to like offer that as this like way for kids to see that there's like a hero within them, and that can look so different in so many different ways, I think is doing so much, so that when our kids are in moments like that, they're like, wait, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is huge what I'm able to do right now. Like I did you guys realize that in moments of motherhood, besides this example where you're saying like you didn't relay because no one else was able to like give you that feedback?
For me, it's been like an ongoing journey, like
right.
to make space for that. Like, I'm not going to say like embracing motherhood, because like, of course I embrace motherhood, but like making space to, I don't know, I think society puts so much focus on the extrinsic
Right.
accomplishments. And then, but the intrinsic accomplishments, like
Are so huge.
our wins, our book is like about, we've got like a book over there. It's like our philosophy is about empowering. Must you explain? You're good with words.
You were saying with
Like
kids?
yeah,
The
like
whole concept, look, kids tend to love superheroes for good reason. It's like, look at these amazing superheroes. They can jump off buildings and go through fires, and they're amazed by Batman and Superman. And a huge part of what we're trying to do with Hart and Hero is letting kids see and recognize the power that they have inside themselves. Put on this cape and recognize you are the hero in this story. You have this power. And it's helping, it just reframing how kids see themselves.
Yeah.
And that accomplishments and wins and victories are individual, and like for every person looks so different, and like making space to acknowledge that your own inner hero, your own inner wins. Like,
yes.
And
It's
you know,
so huge.
and it's funny because we're teaching our kids that, but it's a lesson that we really need to apply to
Ourselves.
ourselves.
Like,
I was
yeah.
just thinking about when we're talking about those like in the trenches moments and feeling heroic about it. You're right. Like it's hard to feel heroic because we don't have that external recognition.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe it's like why my Instagram became the way it was. Like it initially was going to be like guiding parents, and then it became like sharing those in the trenches moments, being like, I am not the only one that probably feels like this is a heroic moment that we should be recognized for. But it was me also needing the external validation. And like it turned into my Instagram, but it was me sharing those moments, vulnerable moments, being like, can someone just like see me?
Right. No, 100%.
Yes.
And also like, is someone else going through this too? Like,
Right. And then of course the community. Knowing it wasn't just like I want to be seen. It was like I want to be seen for all of us.
Right.
Because I know so many of you
Yes.
have to be dealing with these moments too. But I will say that there were many times before I pressed post that I was like, am I the only one that was like this deep in trenches? And then I would just see like the power of that. But had I known early on the power within, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I'm not saying like my parents made or broke that, but just these brands like you guys that are helping kids see the inner hero, you know, is just something that I feel like was long overdue. And so I'm really excited that you guys have brought this to light. I mean, just to explain a little bit, yes, they talked a little bit about the strollers and the stuffy, what's his name?
Hardy.
With the cape, and how it's like all gender neutral colors, and the book and dress up capes. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
There's a superhero PJs.
Okay.
So it's
and
like,
the PJs to wear.
Yeah.
But just like it's such a symbol of so much more than that, right? Not just like, so I don't have like my kid using a pink or blue or monster truck or this or that. It's also just like the message within it.
Yeah. Well, it's also a complete reframe. When we were starting to build out the stroller and people were saying like, I don't know if I want my son to be soft and play with the stroller. We're like, you know what? We're flipping this narrative on its head. We're going to show people that nurture is strength and nurture is power. And we created, it was almost like accidental based on like the conversations we were having with people, that we created the whole superhero component around it. And plot twist, it's not about an external superhero, it's about you. But there's ways to like actually see that tangibly. Like Hardy, who's a deer, is Hart and Hero, so Hart, it all, you know, but
There's like gentle and powerful. The whole thing's like
Right, the
about
traits-
embracing the duality.
and but when kids look at Hardy, it's not like I want to be like Hardy. It's Hardy helping them tap into those powers. And it's also so interesting because there's so many things that we just learn and relearn constantly. Even like our book, like certain messages. And it's a powerful reminder when there's things that we want our kids to know and understand, but we also struggle to apply it to our own lives. Like something I'm thinking of that like stands out for me so much. It's like one of my favorite lines is like, you're a hero when you ask for help instead of feeling shame.
Yes.
And it's like we want our kids to know that. Like it's okay to ask for help. You don't have to have all the answers and you don't have to do it on your own. But hold on a second. Like what about us? Do we think the same thing? Are we able to sometimes stop and say, this is too much. Like I can't do this on my own. Or maybe you can. You probably can. But you don't have to.
Right. I know. It's so interesting that you're saying all this, you know, like thinking of, you know, back to like the role model piece, like what we're really like modeling for our kids. And yeah, I think back to my mom, and she really modeled like motherhood in this most magical way. Things were very different then, right? There was no technology. She was a stay-at-home mom. We were all 4 years apart. All the things that I've now helped heal myself with, believing like, why aren't I like my mom? Anyway, I've had my own journey with that.
I'm sure.
But it almost made me feel that with these businesses I'm creating and being a mom, that like I don't remember my mom asking for help. Why should I? But now that my kids are older, I'm modeling that, and like they're mirrors, right?
Yes.
To pick up on the tidbits that they're giving us of like how we're modeling. And then the other day I asked them about like kids they want to have, and she's like, I just want a boy. One boy. And I'm like, why? She's like, it's so hard with girls. And I was just like, it was unbelievable. And I think she meant her and her sister, but also that like she sees how hard I work in comparison to Matt. And that's not to say that he doesn't work so hard. He has an office job. She doesn't see a lot of the work he's doing.
Right.
So yeah, there's just something there about like what you probably have within the book.
Yes. Yeah.
There's the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. There really is. And it's like in these little moments, like you're saying, like you could tell kids from today till tomorrow, like this is how you should do it and this is what you should do. Kids are watching
Totally.
every last thing. Like you may not even have realized that your daughter was picking up on that until she was like, wait, why aren't you telling them that you don't want this?
Right. And here I am being like, you have to be assertive.
You're like, okay, so tell them that you don't like whatever.
Right.
I'm trying to get my kids to do as I say, not as I do.
No.
Right. It's truly the
That's
opposite.
the opposite. But these like moments that happen, like my son will say things to me like, he'll overhear things and be like, wow, Mom, it's good that you did that because, you know, now that way that person wasn't embarrassed. Like he's picking up on these subtle things and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize he knew that. But then it also like applies even more pressure because it's like, okay, we're really modeling who we want our kids to be. And can we do that successfully every day? Probably not.
But it also helps us do the inner work, right?
Yes.
If we want our kids to be that, don't we want to be that too?
Right. So then you really need to go in so deep
to where
find
you're
that.
not okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
On that note, can you guys tell me, just because it organically came to mind, are there areas for both of you where you feel like, besides what we have elaborated on, aren't okay in terms of like, you know, who you are as women and what you wouldn't want? You have both genders, right? Yeah. I mean, you have 6 kids, so there has to be a girl.
Yeah, 1 boy, 5 girls.
But just or you know, where you feel like maybe your spouse could do a little bit of work in terms of this messaging that we're talking about. Do you want to go first?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I feel like I want to let Chanie go first.
Is there areas that I'm trying to do the work?
Yeah, like this messaging that we're talking about, you know, modeling this openness around like what a woman stands for or a man stands for. Oh. I just shared my hair ordering like,
and there's so much over there, so much to unpack. For me, it's kind of like the reverse in the sense, so that's like society society places so much emphasis, and as women we're also taught. I think millennials were pushed a lot in. You could do it all. You could lean
as
in and
women.
have it all. And then what's celebrated, or where you get the dopamine hit from, I guess, is the extrinsic career stuff.
Right.
So for me, it's like a lot of embracing, not just embracing, of course, like I've always like leaned into motherhood, but like, I don't even know how to say this.
Like just even the work you're doing. Sorry that I'm jumping in. I just like even like showing the stroller that you've made or the book or like when you come home for a meeting, like it doesn't need to be like something that's like, you know, just like mommy made this.
Oh yeah. What's it called? Yeah. And also it's like there's a lot of like embracing the, also for me, I find like a lot of it started like sharing about my day with my kids has been helpful. And like leaning into the duality a lot. Like, yeah, I had a hard day. I did this over here, but it was hard. And it was hard. I think like that's a lot of thing that I'm working on right now.
Right. Like being vocal about that.
Yeah. Like running a business, being of a startup is, sometimes it's sunshine and roses, but those times are very, very far in between. Sometimes, but it's like leaning into embracing the whole entirety, like the that I'm proud of what I've done, and it's hard, and there's this over here. Like, took my daughter to the doctor recently. She got a shot, and she was like really not keen on that from the get-go. She was like pushing off getting it. And then she got, and then like when the nurse left the room, she's like, "Mom, you want to know why I didn't want to get the shot?" I'm like, "Why?" Like, because it hurts. She's like, "Yeah, but more than that is because when I get the shot, I'm gonna cry and it's embarrassing." And I'm like, "But that means I'm not brave." And then it was having that whole conversation with her that bravery coexists with like inner strength. That bravery and fear are not mutually exclusive.
Yes.
That like feeling sadness and gratitude and wanting more or wanting things to be different are not like a conflict. Like leaning into, I think that's the whole thing, is like removing the like compartmentalization and segregation that we as society put in to simplify things. The box, you're feeling this, you're feeling that. Even like if we look at books on emotions or kids' emotions and everything. Are you feeling this? Are you feeling that? Are you
Right.
feeling
And
this?
It should be like, are you feeling a mixture?
I'm feeling like,
yeah.
yes.
Right.
You know the book The Color Monster?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I love that book. And
Yes.
it's like,
And even like Inside Out. Or is that the movie?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm like obsessed with it
It's
because
so
of that.
great.
There's all of those emotions living
Yes.
within us at all times. That's like really like what I love most about it. But yeah, what you're saying is such an important thing, that like crying isn't a sign of weakness.
And it's-
I mean,
Yeah.
let her just hang out with me.
No, but that's something also like I also like make a very specific point to teach my kids, like cry. And it's not like, oh, my daughter should cry more than my son because it's more acceptable. It's like, just because you cried, it doesn't mean you weren't brave. You still did something that was hard for you. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to feel. Like,
Yeah. I mean, but there are so many parents like still that like, especially with boys, are like,
toughen up.
you're a boy.
Yeah, suck it up. But then they suck it up and they suck it up and they suck it up. And it's like they have all this like
Right.
repression.
And we have
at
to
some point,
motivate these parents to know that the longer term is like someone who can't be as in tune with theirs or others'
Yeah.
emotions, right?
And,
Like, isn't it that you want, them to feel healthy emotions, to be able to be strong, right? You can't be strong if you can't even like process your emotions.
right.
Yeah, the key things in life, like our soft skills, are what takes you like actual long term, like to happiness, is having those soft skills, being able to connect emotionally with people,
Absolutely.
being able to even like be vulnerable, and all those stuff we're pushing boys away from. We're like fearing in boys when that is such a disservice to them. Like,
Yeah, it's so true. My girls the other day were like, we've never seen Daddy cry. I'm like, well, there was that one time he was crawling on the floor because he couldn't walk in the middle. And Nellie's like, yeah, that was really scary. But yeah, like, and it's just, it comes from, just birth, right? Like what we're born into. And what you guys are, it might seem like playing a small part, but what I think the potential is so huge is really allowing that to be celebrated and also accepted by parents. Like it can't happen without parents, and you guys are doing such a good job at, maybe your initial plan was like, we're going to give baby dolls and strollers to boys, and then you realize, okay, the reality is like it needs to be maybe a superhero or this or that.
like
But
that
that's
was
just
an
start. Like you're scratching a surface that like I know you guys have plans to do a lot more with. Do you feel that it's like permeated to like their social circles? Like I assume that your kids are playing with these toys and you're doing what you're speaking, you're living as parents, right? Like whether it be because you both have boys and girls, but really honoring and allowing all different ways of playing and this duality. Do you feel like that's like permeated like when they have friends over, or you still feel?
Absolutely. Like we've had play dates where certain kids wouldn't play with like, I wouldn't even dream of them playing with a doll or a stroller. It's just like not that, let's say, type of kid, or their parents don't bring that into their houses. And like next thing you know, like most of the times when kids come into our playroom, one of the first toys they gravitate towards is the Herotron. It's exciting. It's a stroller. It has wheels. It moves fast. You could turn it. And you see these kids like flying through our homes with these Herotrons, and you're like, 1 second. Like, it's amazing to see the way they connect with it.
Can you say what the Herotron is? Because you said it before and I don't think people know.
Yes. The Herotron is a superhero-inspired doll stroller.
Right.
Which creates a space
We've
for...
said stroller, but...
It's a toy stroller.
Yeah. And it's called the Herotron.
It's called the Herotron because every hero needs their vehicle.
What are your thoughts about getting it into schools?
So we've actually started that process already.
Great.
Starting with our own classrooms for our kids and their teachers, and the response has been amazing. Like,
it's so great. I mean, as an early childhood teacher who worked in daycares before, I remember the boys who would go into the play kitchens and pick up the dresses, or, pretend to be like caring for the babies, and how that was teased, and or like the teachers would be concerned, or I mean, we're talking only like 12 years ago. Yeah, it was pre like social media and like this like inclusivity that we've now been embracing more of, but that wasn't like some ancient time.
Right.
There would be like, we saw your son like, picking up the dresses in the play area that's for all genders. Like,
right, like
that doesn't say girl on it. Like, it's there for everyone to play with. Anyway, I think it's so important because the school aspect and the social aspect around that is so huge. I will also share one more anecdote about that. Me and Tess were having like a little disagreement. I guess you could say I was like scolding her about something. And it was like scolding her more than usual about something. Like I went to an award ceremony and she was like, instead of walking up to get the award, she was being silly with one of her friends and they wouldn't go up. Anyway, afterwards I was like, you're a leader. Like, why didn't you go up? Whatever it was. She felt pretty like bad about it. I could have approached it differently. Long story short, she's like, I think I'm a boy because boys get in trouble like this.
Wow.
And yeah, that's like, there's so much there, right? Like, do boys get in trouble like that because they're like suppressing things, or, there's an element of needing to be more physical, so they're more rambunctious, which is what she was doing during the ceremony. But just honing in on the importance of this, not just within our homes.
And it's also like, why does she have to be a boy because she was feeling rambunctious? Why can't she be a rambunctious girl?
Right.
I think society does such a disservice to humans, not even just kids, by compartmentalizing everything.
Yeah.
Like, why does a kid need to be worried about their gender because they're acting out? And what are we saying about women? We're saying that women need to be soft and gentle and
like
kind and obedient,
rules.
and if not, you're any less woman, which is actually the most offensive thing.
Totally.
You're saying that femininity is being challenged by like that I'm less feminine when I'm standing up and being assertive and vocal. Like,
I know. I was really like,
that's such a flaw.
Yeah. I really, initially I was like, oh, is she like trying to tell me that like she's not sure what gender she is? We explore it. And I realized like I couldn't believe how she just like reflexively was like, I must be a boy.
Right. Like, what else would I do this?
That was making her think about her gender, because that's how tied, the rambunctious kids in her class are. I said, once we were having a conversation, I was like, are the boys, always getting in trouble? Because she said they always get in trouble. She's like, yeah, the boys are always getting in trouble and like this or that, and just telling me. I even said, I was like, do you feel like the teachers talk to the boys differently? And she was like explaining it. Yeah, there's definitely a real thing, right? Women are not men are not women, when you identify as one or the other. And there's a big hurdle, if we want to change, the compartmentalization that happens. And I just want to say how I think it's such important work that you guys are doing, and brave work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to add one more thing about like play, about there is like girls do tend to gravitate, like predominantly girls do gravitate towards certain toys, whilst boys do gravitate towards other toys. That may be a thing. Actually, like scientifically, boys do gravitate towards wheels. But it's not so much about, like, I don't know, plays more like I don't know, the way I view it at least, it plays more like a diet, where it's about exposure. If a kid likes one, it's about like, the pyramid, there's diversity. You include, you incorporate other things. When you only give one kid one access, like if my kid only likes one food, like chicken nuggets, you don't just give her chicken nuggets, and that's it. You give them, expose them, and maybe she'll touch it, maybe she'll try it, maybe she won't like it. But that's to raise like an emotionally healthy person. Give them like exposure.
Yeah, you're right. And I want to just backtrack, because in the beginning I was like, they're not born gravitating to anything. But yeah, I think you're right that like there is something, with like wheels and movement and things like that like can, make boys more receptive or interested in certain things. But then you don't only, like you said, expose them to that one thing.
It's like give them access, let them practice, like let them become whole people, let them cultivate their spatial awareness and then their emotional skills as well. Like, why do we need to compartmentalize? Either girls are exclusively this, social emotional, boys are this. Like, it's not fair to kids.
Well, there was a study that we were just looking at where they took like a baby boy and a girl, a toddler, and they switched their clothes. So they're like, okay, now Olivia is Jared and Jared is Olivia. Okay, those weren't their names, but just like for the sake of the example. And then they put like the boy with girls' toys, so like dolls and things that are nurturing, and they put the girl with like the cars and things like that, and they were happily playing.
Yeah, no, I think it was actually they put them both in the same room, and then the caregiver came and thought this was Olivia, and then she gave them the toys.
Oh, because that's what it was. She gave it to them, thinking like, okay, this is Olivia. These are
Olivia,
the toys she needs.
Here,
but Olivia's really
like
Jared.
Right. This is definitely not just a like child exposure thing, it's also like a relearning for adults.
Yeah.
And that's why like I keep honing in on like that it's, you know, I don't even want to just do it a disservice and say you're just scratching the surface, because I do think you're doing so much more than that, but just that it's like a big mountain,
Yeah,
right?
oh, definitely.
Which I'm sure
She gave the most best
about
analogy.
that.
It's like climbing a mountain with flip-flops.
Yes, but like please keep going.
Oh, we plan to.
Yeah. Can you share with us like just what's next for Hart and Hero and what we have to look forward to, if you can?
So we do have some new products in the pipeline that I can't speak about just yet, but definitely to add to like your question as far as like getting the products into different classrooms. So we've done a lot of that, but there's also like a whole other chapter of like classroom curriculums around the products. And
yeah, so I'm just going to jump in over there.
More?
So other than like our products over there, it's a lot more of we've come across, we've seen how just by putting something on, by putting on the cape and by like developing that immersive play experience where the kid recognizes their hero within, we've seen it help like kids through incredible traumas. Like I've seen one of my daughter's friends that she's close to like went through like a deeply traumatic event, and when that happens, you just inundate the kid with gifts because that's all that you could do. You can't fix it, but that's
right?
it.
Yeah.
And like we gave her a Hardy and the cape, like thinking, okay, just tokenization over there, and thought like she wouldn't have any interest in it because but anyway, she comes over comes over with the PJs with a cape. She like, her mom sends me pictures. She draws Hardy. She's like found comfort in like, we've seen like how when kids put on this superhero apparel, it actually gives them like, it could help them discover their powers within. Like when you so we're working right now on developing Hardy's Club and the Hello Hero framework, which is helping kids develop a hero mindset, which is a lot of helping them embrace duality, that you could be scared and brave. You could go to the doctor's office, like navigating going to the doctors, going to the dentist, first day at school, like navigating, helping kids recognize that you've got those powers within.
Right.
There's bravery, and also the power of kindness, helping kids recognize their power when to include other people by saying hello. You can make somebody's day. If there's a kid on the side that kids are making fun of, even if you don't have the bravery to go up to stop the other kids, you could go up to them and smile and say, hey, thinking of you, and that goes a long way. So giving the kids the tools to use their innate powers of kindness and bravery. That's kind of what we're working on right now.
I love that. I read somewhere recently that this dad, when the child came home and said that they were left out, that, you know, because so many things were going around on Father's Day, that this now adult remembers her dad saying, tomorrow I want you to find someone who's left out and include them. That was like what he said to her.
That's so beautiful.
That is so...
Not like, oh, they must be like, you know, trying to like justify why she, like, you know, and he knew that anything he said probably would have fallen flat, but by giving her this like task,
yes,
I don't even know like necessarily what like the pathway was, but it was just, she remembered just basically like feeling like there was something within her that could help her through those experiences, because she saw the power of being able to offer the opposite to somebody else.
That's so powerful.
Yes. Like I know with one of my kids, whenever she gets down and she sits with her feelings, she could sit with her feelings for a long time, and she spirals and goes into her feelings. But the way to snap her out of it, after giving her the space to sit, but like is by empowering her to do something, like showing her that, like, and then I have a conversation with her whilst we're doing something, but like, hey, could you help me with this over here? Or could you even hold a baby? Or could you do like, giving her, like, empowering her to recognize that, yes, she's got this, like, yes, not, like, again, it's the fusion, it's the and, it's sitting with your feelings and recognizing that you've got powers to make the world around you a better, kinder place.
Totally, which helps you with those feelings, too. I want to be mindful of the fact that you do have 6 kids, one of which is at Union Square Play right now, and that you also have your own kids and things to get to. But I can't tell you how much I wanted to have you guys on to talk about this topic. I think it's so important, and I'm honored that you came in to talk about it. Where can people find Hart and Hero to learn more?
So at our website, HartandHero.com.
HART,
Yeah,
like
heart.
the deer.
Exactly, that's a big one. And we sell our products through Amazon as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Not all of them are on there.
But some.
Some of them are there.
You search for the Herotron, HEROTRON.
Giving the spelling. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. I would say primarily also on the website.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, a lot of information. Fun things also, just like coloring sheets, to like
downloads,
print and connect with your kids. So
amazing. I can't wait to see what more you guys will do. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Jenny.